Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Skarbrand in patch 6.0, Omens of Destruction DLC, and why I personally believe that this campaign is substantially better than it was before. But first we need to understand how Skarbrand's campaign actually worked and what CA has done to really improve the situation. There are going to be some changes, some people are really going to hate these changes, but I think based on the data that I do have available, that a lot of people were not particularly impressed by how Skarbrand's campaign worked. It was very one-dimensional, certainly a very powerful Legendary Lord, but just going around battle to battle and winning because your Legendary Lord is extremely powerful, in the sense that what Skarbrand does have, he has collision damage. He's a big boy, so he has a lot of mass. And with that mass, with his size, his durability, and soon enough, you know, being able to get Gore Feast, which gives him replenishment in combat, if he's in melee, and he'll almost always be technically in melee. I say technically because he's actually not fighting in melee. What you do with Skarbrand is you start charging from one side of the enemy line to the other, and you never stop because you have a lot of mass, and you take advantage of the collision damage, so the units you're charging for, so what you do is you have a unit in front of you, charge the unit behind it, and you're doing a lot of collision damage to the unit you're charging through. That's how you win a Skarbrand. And then you just recruited a bunch of cast warriors, Khorne, bloodletters, axe throwers, you'd use blood toast. That was the gimmick of Skarbrand's campaign in battle. As for the campaign gimmick, beyond, you know, summoning blood toast, the campaign gimmick was that whenever you raised a settlement, he would move a very substantial distance away from it, backwards. So you ended up with this situation where on turn 1, you could start pretty much over here and end up here on turn 1 if you went north. Like, you would raise the settlement, raise the Sun Conqueror March, use the Skull Throne initially, go Galbraith soon enough, and you'd end up to Warzank. Or you could ignore that, go over here in Khemri, and just slaughter your way through all of Khemri in a couple of turns. You could do that in a Skarbrand campaign very, very quickly. They've nerfed the amount of automatic movement that you get from raising a settlement. In the sense, and this is not necessarily related to Khorne, I think they've just made them change to the amount of movement characters automatically have when they raise a settlement. So there's less crazy movement like that. It was certainly a gimmick. But that was what made Skarbrand powerful. Those things are no longer available. But what is available, however, is as follows. Blood Toast no longer costs money. And while they do cost skulls, you will get to a point in just a handful of turns, really. Just collect skulls for the first few turns if you really want that, like maybe 10 turns at most. And then you can just end up in a gameplay loop where you're summoning Blood Toast after Blood Toast after Blood Toast without stopping. And then those Blood Toasts are also accumulating skulls. And you never stop because you're getting so many skulls. Like, it's very easy because you actually gain a lot more skulls in a campaign than you did before. Sure, you spend more skulls, but again. Now, one thing that's not particularly great, I do feel, with the Khorne update is the rework with regards to Demon and Mortal Settlements. It will take you several turns to get heroes, but once you do get the Mortal Settlements, you do gain more heroes than you ever did before. Having Cultist at tier 2, having Exalted Heroes of Khorne at tier 2, increasing all hero capacity at tier 3, having Chosen and Skull Reapers tier 3, having Cast Warriors with dual weapons, Cast Knights at tier 3. It adds to a lot more diversity in a campaign, and then when you combine with other things, it ends up being a far more dynamic campaign with a lot more unit variety. I mean, you can still play Skarbrand in the quote-unquote traditional sense where you're, you know, spamming a lot of Blood Toast. It will be slower in that respect initially. But once you get going, you might do things that you were never able to do in terms of a lot of Blood Hosts. You may not achieve an ultimate campaign victory in 10 turns, but I always felt that was gimmicky as hell, really. Because, again, it's like you're just fighting tier 1 armies with, like, tier 3 units, Bloodletters and Cast Warriors. That's, like, that alone, beyond Skarbrand's regeneration, in battle and collision damage, that alone is like, oh, great, you're just, you know, it's a turkey shoot, basically. Here, you actually do have more complexity and variety added to a campaign. So over here, at turn 29, and keep in mind, I could have done this much earlier, but at turn 29 over here in this campaign, well, Sylvania has ceased to exist for the most part. There's several blood hooves I do have, and this isn't even the most extreme aspect, because right now, I can afford something like 40 blood hooves. So you get to a point in a campaign, and you actually get to this point much earlier, like turn 15, turn 20, where you can just infinitely summon blood hosts without a care in the world. And blood hosts themselves, because of the research tree over here, are better than they were before. You can replace blood letters with exalted blood letters. You can give them a bunch of significant combat benefits. I mean, some of this, of course, already existed in a research tree, but because of the way Skarbrand's campaign was designed, how much of the research tree you would actually unlock before finishing the campaign? Probably very freaking little. So it's just worth pointing out. So unit diversity. I have Chosen. I have Chaos Warriors of Khorne with halberds. I have Chaos Knights. I have Regiments Renowned. And it's not just one army. No. It is 3 armies. Another army here. Chaos Warriors Khorne, dual weapons, Skull Reapers. A 3rd army right here. In this situation. In fact, I think I'm gonna raise that particular settlement to the ground. Right there. Another army with the initial Chaos Warriors of Khorne that I did recruit over here for Skarbrand. And then a 4th army that I am in the process of recruiting. Honestly, if there is any downside I do see with Khorne, not just with Skarbrand, but with Khorne in general, is that you have no way of really increasing recruitment slots. Which, I mean, until you get to tier 4. Which is a bit of a downer, because I really think of all the campaigns, Khorne could certainly use it. At least at tier 3. Like, if we could get this structure to increase local recruitment capacity as opposed to recruit rank, I think that would be freaking fantastic. Because you can recruit very high ranked units in a Khorne campaign, like recruiting silver ranked Chaos Knights, gold ranked Chosen. Things are gonna start getting pretty crazy pretty quickly in this campaign. But beyond the obvious, one of the great things about this campaign is what you can do with Cultists. So what I've done in this campaign is I started going over here, then I got the Cultist to teleport me over here to Nomas, picked up a bunch of Chaos Warriors with halberds and all that. Then I teleported back here again, then back here again to beat up Forik, then over here. Because you can recruit cultists at tier 2. And once you get to a certain point in a campaign, you will get a bunch of tier 2, if not tier 3, settlements. So you'll be able to go from one region to another in a campaign quite often. In fact, in the very long term, you could just send a cultist on a adventure to Cathay, adventure to Nagrand, adventure to Ulthuan, and just teleport Skarbrand over there. Oh, and then teleport him back. Because that's the thing, like, that's the great thing about this teleportation. Like, one of the things you can do here is like, okay, I'm done over here. Vlad is not dead, but I mean, I'll just leave this Doomstack over here for Sigdan. Take care of it, and it will treat you well. Skarbrand is like a parent just passing along his Doomstacks to his kids. And then using cultists to set up cults with rituals of summoning to teleport to other regions and beat up people there as well. Or more importantly, increase the unit diversity that you do have in a campaign. Because that's one of the things I always disliked about this campaign, as I said. The lack of unit diversity, I do feel really did hurt this campaign in particular. And if this had been the case, if this had been the kind of campaign we had gotten on day 1, it would have been far freaking better. Alright, oh. Scrag is coming over there to sack a settlement. Good on him. So, every turn. Okay. That's an army. Not a problem, though. Various people willing to surrender or fight me. And it's like, oh, okay, Marcus Wolfart. Because that's the thing. How would you beat this? Like, one of the strategies, like, you would not want to fight this campaign in skirmish. Because one of the strategies to use, of course, for skirmish, for skirmish, forget skirmish, I mean multiplayer. One of the strategies you can use, of course, is the idea, let's give a Skull Reaper over there, is just the notion of like, oh, attacking an undefended portion of someone's empire. Well, good luck with doing that against Skarbrand, right? Ain't gonna freaking happen. Like, it's seriously not gonna freaking happen. Because he'll just show up and, you know, and they, oh, okay. Let's take this Doomstack, you go on a break, my friend, or just stay around, we'll give you more experience, recruit more units, do global recruitment even, beat people up, all that kind of stuff is all available in this kind of campaign. Money is readily available, blood toasts are readily available. So for those people that enjoyed that playstyle of like winning a campaign in like 10 turns, sure, that is no longer available. But I also think I speak for a lot of people when I say that that was not a particularly fun playstyle. It is a lot better right now, I feel. In terms of just like campaign variety, you know, experiences, how many units you can have, how many blood toasts you can have, how big your economy can be. Oh, let's sack a settlement first. Right. Now, to be fair, every single legendary lord of Khorne can do this. And that's one of the reasons why Arbol is really damn great, because he's really good at, you know, teleporting around beyond just the cults.
The fighting pit awaits.
Oh, it's like, oh, there's 4 or 5 armies of Vlad coming in over here. Not a problem. Really, not a freaking problem. But the advantages you do get as Skarbrand. So the question is, what advantages do you get as Skarbrand as opposed to, say, you know, playing as Skulltaker or playing as Arbol? Well, for starters, you don't start in Lustria. So Lustria is fairly broken in its terrain. Like, when you raise a settlement, right, you can't move through it. Now, this isn't normally a problem, but obviously you can't move through a settlement that's been ruined. But the problem in Lustria, as I've said multiple times, is there's quite a few of these settlements. Like, you look at the terrain here, there's a river, there's a bridge, this is a choke point. And so if you raise the settlement, good luck going around. And same with this settlement, same with many other settlements. So, you know, I think it's going to be a fairly common attitude. I like Skulltaker, but Lustria sucks. The difference between Skarbrand and Arbol, I mean, I'm not even going to joke around it. Yes, Arbol is much better. But you do have unholy manifestations when you're playing a Skarbrand campaign, which you don't when you're playing an Arbol campaign. So that is one of the advantages, if you will, in this situation compared to Arbol, because he does have that unique mechanic, but he doesn't have manifestations. So that is your advantage. Sure, manifestations may not necessarily be, there certainly aren't as good as the Oxyotl campaign mechanic of just like teleporting all around, but they do give you something unique. And just having, say, you know, for instance, small army to fight for movement range, that can be such a freaking game changer right here, right? Like, get more movement range. I do like the fact that they changed Unholy manifestation, so that you just get extra movement range right now. Oh, by the way, speaking about the black pyramid, actually, don't worry about that. It's like, we'll just get it back as a tier 2 settlement. Like, raise stuff to the ground, resell it, no problem. Yeah, garrison building, maybe. And just keep doing this kind of ping-ponging around in your campaign that you just, again, you can't really do in many other campaigns. Of course, you can do it in all Khorne campaigns because it's down to the cults, but keep in mind something. Skarbrand does still have more units to Bloodhost on creation, replenishment of 4 territory, which is not a given in a Khorne campaign, necessarily. He's still a one-man Doomstack that can't be beaten because of the collision damage that he has, and the regeneration he has in Bal. And he does get, beyond the Blood God's Vigor, he also still gets Endless War and Restless Fury. So that's still something he has that others don't. And that's still an advantage, beyond, you know, everything else I just described over there. Look at the amount of skulls I got over here. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking I'll just summon Bloodhost every single turn. And that's it. So to me, personally, like, right here, I'm just a couple of turns away from unlocking Chaos Knights with Lances, unlocking Minotaurs of Khorne. Do you know how many times I recruited Minotaurs of Khorne in a core campaign before this DLC? 0. I think I tried once, and then it's like, yeah, I'm not wasting my time just to unlock a unit I don't need. But you do have, like, that's the thing. You play a campaign that is certainly slower, less bullshit, but better in terms of diversity, better in terms of teleportation, better in terms of mechanics, just overall. I mean, the cult mechanic change certainly helped with this, but it does help to have those heroes available much earlier on in the campaign, and far more plentiful heroes. So this is much better from my point of view, and these are the genuine improvements that CA has added to this campaign. Costin signing out.